Good afternoon and welcome to today's training. It's 12 o'clock GMT and we are here again today to continue our training that we have been having for the past 7 weeks. And I hope we are all enjoying and we are taking note, and we are also improving ourselves with the training that we are having. And so on behalf of the Secretary General of the Association of African Universities, Professor Etienne Ihwanehile, I am welcoming you to today's session. And today we are going to talk about presentation tools in the virtual environment. I hope we are all learning and taking note of what has been previously been taught. We have sent the links, we have sent presentations to your email, to your inboxes. And so if you haven't gotten the recordings of the previous one, kindly raise up your hands or write your email in the box. And we plead that you write your names correctly. We are also issuing certificates for the Modular, which is $50 per certificate. We will put the links on how you would pay, and then if you want your correct name and address. For those joining us, you already know our facilitator, who is in the person of Professor Osei Darkwa, who has always been taking us through our programs. And so without wasting much time, I would call on our distinguished trainer, Professor Darkwa, to take on today's training sessions. Please, we want to also tell everyone to please mute your microphones. We don't want to mute it from here, so that it could be an interactive session. And so thank you for joining us. And Prof, you are welcome. Thank you for this opportunity again. And today we are all ears listening to you.
Okay, all right, thanks a lot. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome once again to our webinar series. I think this is the 7th or so. I think I've even lost count. The focus today is on presentation tools. Now, we've all been doing presentations, since the days of Ada Abraham. Anytime we teach in the classroom, what do? We present to our students. I know the way we present have changed over the years because the tools have also changed. All right, the hardware has changed, the software has changed, and the teaching environment has also changed. So this has also influenced the way we interact with our students over the years. Now, what I do today, since this is a very, very familiar topic, I will expose you to some of the few presentation tools out there. And my co-presenter, Freeman, will take us through.
Can you kindly bring your camera in front a bit so that we can see you well, because we are not really seeing you. Okay, this is
You
good.
can see me now, right?
Yes.
Well, maybe I just woke up. So. Anyway, so let me share my screen and then we'll take it from there. I will present some few slides and my co-presenter will then let me make sure at least you can see my screen. Let me put it up at the very beginning. Oh, there's some background noise. Well, I have a short outline. I hope you can see my outline. What are presentation tools? What is presentation in general? And sometimes when we present, we want to be effective presenters. So some few tips about that. And anytime we present, we have two elements involved. We need the hardware, and then we need the software. So it's a combination of the hardware and software that enables us to effectively present. And after that, then as I said, my colleague will come in, to do the demonstration. Now, presentation program, presentation tools is nothing but a software package that enables us to provide or display information in the form of a slideshow. We have various tools that we use. According to Wikipedia, there are 3 major functions of presentation. And most of the tools, there's an editor. It allows us to edit our text. Then there's also a way of inserting and manipulating our images, mostly our graphic images. And then there's also a way that allows you to display the images. So 3 main functions of presentation, tools, according to Wikipedia. Now, I presented this frame to let you know that we have a bunch of tools out there. We have tools that would enable us to interact with our students in the classroom. That's the first one. Then beyond the classroom these days, we all work in the virtual environment. So we have tools that enables us to engage with our students beyond the classroom. And most of the time, you want to ensure that whatever you are providing to your students, they are understanding you. So there's an element of assessment and feedback, and there are a bunch of tools. And then we also have a way to relate or interact with our students through what we call a learning platform or learning management systems, and there are a bunch of them. So throughout this training, we have segmented all these things. Now, presentation to interact with our students in the classroom. Now, because the classroom has also changed now, you still have your students, right? You put together your presentation, and then you relate to your students wherever they may be. But the goal of presentation tools, they are designed to enable us to interact with our students in the classroom. We've talked about some of the other tools, and we are yet to cover some of the other tools. For example, next week, we'll be focusing on learning management systems. They are also tools, but they are is a package. It's a very, very integrative tool. It enables us to do a lot of things. So that is the essence of presentation tools. Now, people say that we present all the time, but what constitutes good presentation skills? You want to make an impact, and how do you ensure that whatever you are presenting, your audience are listening and they are relating to it? So these are some of the tips out there. You need to communicate. Verbal communication is key. Communicate in a way that your audience will understand you. You need to deliver, so delivery, effective delivery. Sometimes we may have some of these tools, PowerPoint, will create so many slides, so many points on a single slide. What they call the depth of PowerPoint. So delivery is not effective. Okay. You need to be in charge. That's what we call leadership. You need to be in control. Presentation has to be, persuasive. Those marketing guys, sometimes you haven't made a decision to purchase an item, but the way they present, you'll be persuaded, to make an investment. So it has to be persuasive. Sometimes an element of humor works. We like jokes a lot, so some light jokes when you are presenting, it gets people's attention. And sometimes an element of storytelling too, because you don't want to be just presenting and presenting tell those stories. You want people to take home what? Messages. Okay, and they always remember my story. The written and visual communication is your slides. How you, relate to your slides, how your slide is presented visually, they make them feel. It also makes a lot of difference. Self-awareness, is the fact that you are presenting, you are in charge, and know that that is what you are doing, so you focus on what you are doing. Written and visual communication is also relates back to, how your audience see what you are presenting. Adaptability, we plan most of what we are doing, but sometimes things don't go as planned, and you need to adapt. I remember about 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, I was at the University of Abuja presenting, and I was using PowerPoint, and the lights went off. You can't stop. I have to continue. I have to adapt to the situation. So you always need a backup. So sometimes have some guiding notes around you in case something happens, in case the power goes off. Sometimes you'll be advancing your slide, it will not advance, and things like that. Or you'll be opening your presentation and it will not open, your pen drive or whatever. So you need a backup in the cloud, you need maybe a printed backup somewhere. Always adapt. Emotional management, is how you portray yourself when you are presenting. These are general tips that the experts have put together, that if you want to become a better presenter, then you need to adapt, some of these tips. Now, we have a bunch of presentation tools out there, and that's what we are going to, at least show you today, a bunch of them, and then we select some for demonstration purpose. How do you select a presentation tool? I know for most of us, it's maybe 1 or 2 tools, but these are also something to guide us. Ease of use. Some of them, the learning curve, is not very easy. It takes a while to feel comfortable, so that is one feature of a presentation tool. Ease of use is one. The export import features. Is it compatible with other file formats? Sometimes you want people, to be able to export your file or receive your presentation, but can you integrate that, with other file formats? Each presentation tool has its own extension, will it integrate? So that is one thing that you need to look out for. Real-time collaboration. These days we work on projects. You want to be able to collaborate. Can you share that? Can a team around the world, across the world, work on a PowerPoint presentation, for example, at the same time? Just like if you have a document in Word and you export it to Google Doc, it's still a Word document. And then we can all work on the same document at the same time. So real-time collaboration, you have to look at for the cloud access and storage. These days, everything's in the cloud. As long as you have access to the internet, you don't have to worry. Any part of the world, even at the village, somewhere at the beach, you have access to the internet. So you can always access your file. It's not sitting on your hard drive somewhere. It's available. So that is why we have a bunch of storage devices, Google Drive, name it. We use a bunch of them. Audio and video capabilities. These days, you want to deliver a multimedia presentation. You want to move away from static slides and embed audio, you want to embed videos, and a bunch of other tools. Does that tool have that capability? Good technical support. Sometimes we run into technical issues. You need somebody, to assist. Does it have good technical support? I mean, these days, like most of the learning management tools, you have live people. You can contact them right away. If we're using Blackboard or Zoom and you have a challenge, quickly, you can send an email or there's a live chat somewhere and you can get the technical support in real time that you need. Will that tool enable you or allow you to do that? So these are some of the things to look at for. Now, to present, there are two elements. We have hardware and we have software. Now, over the years, some of you would remember some of these gadgets. The Blackboard has always been with us. It will continue to be with us for quite some time. Most of our schools, especially at the first or second cycle level, and even some tertiary institutions, they still use a Blackboard. Then some of you remember this slide, projector, where you would have your, your staff in different slides. You put them on a carousel, and then you project. We used to use that, and I'm sure in most institutions they still have that today. Overhead, we'll put transparencies, and then we'll project on the wall. So it's also one of the tools, and I'm sure people still use those transparencies. We always need a projector. The make and feel of the projector has changed now. These days, even on some tablets, they have inbuilt, projectors. Even on some phones, so you can have your phone or your slide project to the wall, and all that. Then we have the whiteboard, which is a more advanced version. And these days, most schools have a whiteboard in their classrooms. They have, replaced most of these gadgets. Then we have the smart board. Smart board is smart, is interactive. You don't need physical markers. We have electronic markers, and then most of us use it in our classrooms. Video conferencing has also been around for a very long time. People still use them for, synchronous communication. These are audio conferencing tools which we've also been using, to present. And then, sometimes you need something, a pointer, for emphasis. And we all use that. Most of us have. These days, what they do is that most pointers may even have a pen drive. So you download your presentation on that device. So once you have that, you are good to go. So, and there are other hardware. I just selected these because I know these are familiar. Most of us have used this over the years, but the tools continue to change, and it will continue to change. So this is the hardware part. Some of us use clickers in the classroom. Clickers is what we call student response system. As an instructor, you want to ensure that whatever you are teaching, students are understanding. So you ask for what feedback, and then they will click. That's why we call them clickers. They will click, and then instantly. I mean, today, Socrative have more or less replaced because it does the same thing. That is the software version. This is the hardware, version of presentation to in a classroom for students' response. We use tablets too. Sometimes you present on your tablet. Everything you have, you connect your projector to your tablet and you project, and then what you present. And most of us do that. It's handy. It's less bulky than a laptop. It's portable. It's internet enabled. is convenient, and we use that as a primary presentation tool. And there are a bunch of them, these days, most of the, companies, they have their own tablets, Barnes and Nobles, they have the Kindle, there's a Nook, there's a Kobo, there's an iPad, there's a Galaxy, there are a bunch of them. And most people use that. Remember the good old days when you're traveling, people will have books. But these days, you see people on their phones and on their tablets. It shows the way things have changed over the years. Now, we've talked about the hardware. Now, we are now looking at the software. Now, there's a bunch of presentation software, a bunch of them. So the goal here, because of lack of time, is to expose you to some of these tools out there. And then, as I said, we'll just select some as demonstration, okay? Prezi is one tool. Sometimes I use it. It's what we call the zoom in presentation. If you want emphasis, then you use Prezi. And I'm sure some of you are familiar with that. Of course, almighty PowerPoint is what most of us use. This presentation today is in PowerPoint, and that's what I'm using. And then again, you can go back to the futures. Can you export it, to Prezi? Can you export it to Google Slides? If you have Google Slides is already part of Google. It's very similar to PowerPoint. It gives you very professional, slides, and I'm sure some of you are familiar with that. Adobe Presenter is also another tool, that some of us use sometimes, to put together professional, slides. Vishme is also another tool. Some of these are more commercial tools. They give you, there's always a free version for a period, and then they'll ask you to upgrade. Some of your institutions can also subscribe. These are very high level professional tools. Some of them you can do infographics. Some of them you can do, documents, slides. They give you more options than traditional PowerPoint. Now, iSpring Suite is a great presentation tool. It's only that it's a commercial tool. iSpring is also a PowerPoint add-on. If you download iSpring, it creates an icon within PowerPoint, so you don't have to go to the program. Some of these I'll show you in a second. And then within PowerPoint, you can click on iSpring. I think it gives you 14-day free trial. And then after that, it will ask you to buy it and all that. It has several options. You can use it for images, you can use it for quizzes, within your presentation and all that. It's a great tool. Just as I said, it's a commercial tool. After the expiration of the trial period, it means you need to purchase it. Next one is Keynote. Now, Keynote is on Mac machines. It comes with, if you have an iPhone, for example, you have Keynote on it. It comes as part of, the iPhone and then, the Mac. We all remember Steve Jobs. He had very top-level professional presentations, and most of his presentations he used were Keynote. Hierarchy Deck is also another powerful presentation tool. It's a commercial tool that allows you to do a lot of fancy stuff. Slide Beam is also another great presentation tool. It's a commercial tool. You can do a lot of stuff. Emaze is also another tool. It's very easy to use. And most of these, there's always a free version, and some of these, if you have an educational email which ends in edu, you can use it for free. There's always an educational version for some of these tools. Others are commercial. After there's the trial period, it means you have to pay for it. Now, just a few. I try to, there's a presentation that, and most of these tools have templates, free templates that you can use. If you are interested in the template, let me see if this presentation will open. This is an old presentation. I was doing a presentation on the stakeholders in academia, and I realized that maybe Prezi would be a better tool, than PowerPoint. So this is how it looks like. You see, it zooms. Is a zooming tool, unlike PowerPoint, which is is linear. You see, it zooms. That's just an example of Prezi. If you go to Prezi.com, that is a site, and then Prezi.com. There's a link here, but because of time, I'm not going to Prezi.com. You go there. If you have an EDU email, you can have access to the free version. There's a basic version and there's a paid version. Mostly if you can have it for free, why do you pay for it? It's a zooming presentation tool. And for emphasis, if you have PowerPoint, you can export that to Prezi. See, that is why I said you have to look for these features in most of the presentation tools that we use. So Prezi is a great tool. I like it a lot. And the good news is that there are several free templates, and you can use it as long as it's on the website and just insert your own. Some of the images are great, and there's no point to reinvent the wheel. If somebody says, you can have this for free, you don't need approval, and all that. You only acknowledge the fact that, and it also show that you took it from the Prezi website. Google Slides, I talked about that. We all use Google tools. Google has all these tools, our email, and then our storage, Google Forms, Google Sheets, Google Calendar, Google Classroom, name it. All these are tools. And Google Slides is one of the free tools. It's right here, the one in yellow, is one of the free tools. It's just like PowerPoint, I don't really see, but it gives you a lot of enhancement, So sometimes you can just try it, instead of PowerPoint. It's free, it's available. You don't have to pay for it, and all that. Again, there's a link to the website, but let's keep that for now. I talk about Keynote. It's part of iWork. That was when it was developed in 2010. And then it is built in all the Mac. And then if you have an iPhone, it comes preloaded with iPhone. So you can use that for presentations, as well. Again, I don't want to, the website, is there, anybody with an Apple. There's also the Microsoft version, which you can also use. Initially, it wasn't like that, but recently I realized that they are providing that as well for free. So Keynote is a great presentation tool. Very, very fancy graphs, videos, name it. You can integrate all that. If you are familiar with C just presented. Vishme, this is one of my favorite tools. Vishme, again, you can sign up for free. You can do graphics, you can do infographics, especially if you are presenting something chronological order. Recently I was talking about, let's say, the history of social welfare. You start from the Elizabethan period, 1820s, and you want to have a timeline for all this. Vishme is a great tool, Vishme.co, you can Google it. You can set up a free account within Vishme. And then, of course, they are always selling products, to you. So you see upgrade, and all that. But it's a great tool, which I would recommend, because you can do more than, PowerPoint, and there's always a free version. And your institution can subscribe to that. Canva is also similar, to Vishme. It allows you to create, graphics, especially sometimes we develop presentation posters. You go to a conference and they say, do a poster presentation. One of the great tools for that is Canva, canva.com. If you go there, you can have access to it. You sign up for an account. There's always a free version. And then you can use that, for posters and other fancy graphics. Canva is a great tool, for that. I talked about iSpring earlier. I like it because the only downside is that it's a commercial tool, and it will give you 14 days, after the 14 days. So what you do is that within the 14 days, use that to develop a bunch of presentations and save it. Because after the 14 days, they'll ask you to pay for it. And then, well, if you have another laptop, of course, you can install it on a different laptop for another 14 days. But you can ask your institution, to pay for the commercial licenses, and it becomes available, because it has a lot of flexibility. And as I said, it's a PowerPoint add-on tool. If you go to iSpringSuite.com and you download it, it will allow you to download it for free. But when you go to your PowerPoint, you realize that there is an icon. It's just like Pool Everywhere. If you download Pool Everywhere, it's a PowerPoint add-on. So once you're in PowerPoint, you can use the tool within PowerPoint. So the beauty about iSpring is that you can create quizzes. You can do dialogue simulations. You can do screencasting. I think in 2 weeks or so, we're talking about screencasting tools. We'll be revisiting iSpring, and we'll use that as a demonstration as well. You can do video lectures and all kinds of fancy interactive stuff. So that's the beauty of iSpring Suite. I think now we have iSpring Suite 9. It's moved from 1 to 3, and the current version is Suite 9. Now, one of the favorite tools I use is VoiceThread. Most of the presentations, they are slides. Sometimes we add images and all that. But VoiceThread, just like the name, is your voice. I tried to do one. I don't know how far it came. Let me see. This is the last one. Oh, okay. I think you couldn't connect. I was going to link it. I have an account in VoiceThread. It's free. There's a free version. There's always a commercial version. But VoiceThread, it works just like Screencast-O-Matic and most of the TechSmith tools. We'll get there in about 2 weeks or so. But what it allows you to do, you open your presentation and it allows you to record your voice over your presentation. And then it also allows you to add your image. So sometimes, for example, I did a short video and I sent it to a group of people. It's about some of the traditions in Ghana. They didn't understand. It's about chieftaincy. So what I did was that then I did VoiceThread over the video. You can do it over video. You can do it over anything to explain. So it will tell you this is a chief in the palanquin being carried on this occasion. So it's a narration over your presentation. That's what it does. It's a good tool. If you have your PowerPoint, you will not be there. These days, people are debating, do I teach synchronously or asynchronously? If you want to teach asynchronously, you are not there for your students, to ask you questions and all that. So you do a VoiceThread over your PowerPoint or over your images to explain. And your image is right there. They see you, your voice is over your presentation. And there are other tools that you could use though. But VoiceThread allows a lot of flexibility. It allows you to do 5 threads, meaning you can do 5 presentations. So what you do is that when you reach the 5, then you save one and then you delete it. You save it on your hard drive. So it's always there for you, Once you reach the 5, it will ask you to upgrade. It will not allow you to go to the 6th one. But there are always ways around this. Tells you that, and they'll tell you, this is how you can go around it, and things like that. And these are other tools, Slide Beam, I mentioned that here, Deck, I mentioned that all of them here, deck.com, Slide Sharp, Proton, they'll do similar stuff, okay? It's always good to talk about these tools, to expose them, but our goal is always for you to take home at least, 1 or 2 tools that you can own yourself. So I think I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna stop sharing, and I'm going to ask my co-presenter, Mr. Freeman, to come in and do a demonstration of some of these tools, so that at least you can take home 1 or 2 tools that you can own. So on this note, I'm stopping sharing my slides, and then I'll invite my co-presenter to take over. Thank you.
All right, Prof, thank you so much. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everywhere we find ourselves. I'm happy to join you once again, and also to support this whole training exercise. Prof, thank you so much, and I appreciate that. I'm so delighted once again to walk you through some tools we can use for making our presentations look quite attractive, and also how we can engage our students very well and maintain very good support for our students and make our presentation look quite attractive. I'll walk you through about 2 or 3 tools that we can use. Of course, most of you are very familiar with Microsoft PowerPoint. I'll not waste much time with Microsoft PowerPoint. I will just show you some few aspects of PowerPoint that we can use for teaching and learning. Okay, so I hope we are all ready, and no need for me to worry with how you can use your PowerPoint. I think most of you know how to use PowerPoint. Just to show you some few tips that you can use. Just like Prof indicated, when building our slides, we don't have to push so many content on each of the slides. You are supposed to just highlight the points. So by default, when you open your slide, you see here, add title. So you indicate your title here, for example, maybe if you are teaching maybe a course like maybe introduction to say computing, you can just highlight it. In the next section, you can indicate something briefly about maybe the author, maybe who is doing this presentation. You can just, on the very first slide, so maybe you would just want to indicate that your name is that. You can mention your background, PhD, whatever, here at the front page. Then you can move on to the next slide, move to the next slide, populate it with the title of the slide, then put the content here. You can do normal copy and paste thing that we all know in Microsoft PowerPoint. Of course, there are tools that we can use. You notice here that if you want to insert tables, there are these thumbnails here that we can always invoke. Okay, so you can just, if you want to insert a table, if you want 5 by 2, you can just click on, then you maybe insert your table. You indicate the titles here, then you put the text here. You indicate the titles here, you put the text here, and move on. So you need to indicate the title on top here, and move on to the next slide. You can click on to make another, assuming there are portions where you need to insert some figures, if it's a process diagram, for example, or something, a list that you want to invoke, there are a bunch of them that you can just click on to insert. For example, if we are talking about process models where you need to maybe use to demonstrate certain key concepts, you can just click on any of these. Then the page loads. This will help you to explain most of your context with ease. Okay, so you type in the title here. Maybe if you are doing something maybe in phases, say phase 1, then the sub phase, what you are supposed to do here. Then you can indicate the phase 2, then whatever text you want to do, indicate. You can equally add more to more of these phases, and then by pressing on this plus button and stuff like that. Well, you need to also indicate the title. Maybe we're talking about phases of whatever diagram. And once you have some of these images and pictures, it makes your presentation very attractive, and you can easily connect, and then the student can easily infer meanings to whatever you are presenting, including your normal presentation you do at your business meetings and other forums that you engage yourself. Of course, you can also even invoke in media like videos. Okay, so for example, if you are making a presentation and there are portions where you want to make it quite, attractive, you can just invoke, browse anywhere on your screen where you can get a video to share. Then I think you are there to go. All right, so assuming if I want to invoke maybe this video that I presented on Zoom, I can just insert this video in my work. And then at the point when I am doing my presentation, I can pause and then play that video along the line if they need be. All right. Okay, so that is an example of a typical video that you are going to insert. All right. Now, you can equally insert other key features that you also need to do. Okay, you can insert a whole folder or a file that you want to pick a particular file from, or you can insert a picture and any other thing just to make your slide quite interactive. Of course, you can do your normal text here alongside, but it should not be overcrowded. And as much as possible, you need to make your slide look attractive and also look quite interesting for your audience to appreciate whatever you are presenting. At more advanced levels too, some people would love to use some level of transitions, okay, which in some cases, too much of it makes it look quite weird, Some people will make it so weird, but for professional, presentations, you can keep it simple and then neat. Okay, so put it at the back of your mind. Too much animations also can put off your audience. For example, if you want to use this kind of animation here, look at that. You see, for a professional presentation, you cannot be using some of these, flashy animations. You see, okay, but you can have some, simple ones like the peel off. Okay, like this one goes and then this one comes. If you want some, there are a bunch of them that you can use if you really want to add effects to some of the presentation that you are using. Okay, like this plain type, the first one goes and then the next one comes. So you can use, transitions on most of the slides, and you can apply, or you can indicate the duration to which you want it to last and stuff like that. All right. Then we also have animations. Okay, so how do you want some of these, slides to, go? Either to do the zoom type, the page will load like that, and then hit in, or there are points that you want to highlight, and then you want to use some of these things. There are a bunch of them that you can use as well. Okay, for example, if you want to use some of this type of, but I don't think you'll be using some of these things for some of these professional presentation. You can just keep it simple. No need to worry with so much animations and text, which will not make any sense. Okay. There are also parts that you can also use. Okay. Some people will be doing this kind of X type part. Okay. And then they can just indicate as you how they want the whole thing to look like and stuff like that. Okay, so where they want to start from and then where they want to end it from. Okay, there are a bunch of them that we can also use. There are also slideshows options. Of course, when you are presenting at an advanced level, when you are teaching your class, you of course need to show this slideshow. I am using MacBook. If you're even using Windows, you see at the bottom here, the slideshow where you project, then everybody will see the screen as big as you can see. Okay, you press escape to ignore it. Remember, for example, if you are doing a presentation and you are on this, say, fifth slide, and in the event you want to present, maybe for some obvious reason, you want to showcase it, there's no need for you to start from from scratch, where the presentation will load from the slide by the presenter view, or you can just click on that, then that particular page will load instead of starting from the scratch. Some Microsoft Word has, PowerPoint has got F5 function to serve as a presentation, and it will show up for you. We also have here the presenter view. Okay, so you see the slide here, then you also see the next animation. And beneath here, this is what you, the presenter, will see. Okay, so you will see the next slide, what you are going to talk about. So sometimes you can even highlight some of the points you are going to highlight in the next slide. So before they see that slide, you have already talked about it, and they will see, oh, you know what you are talking about. Sometimes this will guide you on your presentation, and you know where to start from and where to end. So this is a typical demonstration of how to do some of all these things. Of course, there are options that you can also record your slideshows as well. So whilst you are making the presentation, you can record the slideshow and you keep a copy, and then you can also give it to other people to use. Okay. There are also portions where you can review the slide by adding comments to slides, just like we do in Microsoft Word. And so you can add comments. So you know that this particular portion, I need to add new comment to it. Then you can type in your comment there, and then you can show comment if you want, or you can just ignore not to show the comments, or you can even remove the comment from it and stuff like that. Now, we also have here views. Okay, view. All right. Okay, so I'll pause here to explain this thing to you very well, especially when you want to use the slide master. Okay. Now, how do we use slide master? Okay. We can have a template for our presentation, which will mimic every slide that you will be showing on the screen. For example, if you want to indicate on your slide master, maybe you want to indicate your copyright, or maybe you just want to indicate AAU, maybe 2020, and you want it to show on virtually all the pages, including the date. All right. And if you want to invoke maybe a logo or AU logo or any presentation, you can insert it on the slide master, and it will run through virtually all the slides that you will find yourself with. Okay. So when you are able to do all these things, you can just close the slide master, but always remember that you save it, and then any changes that you make, it will reflect on all the pages that you want to make. If there are other slides that people maybe shared with you and still want to even modify it, always you can come to the view and then modify the slide master to suit how you want to use. Okay, so you can just insert your slide master as part of the presentation, or you can just click on the layout and always make edits how you want the slider to be, and then you can just add as much as you want to add. You can invoke a background which will serve as a main tool to use, or you can just hide a background. There are a bunch of them. You know some of all these things, so I'll not worry myself with. Then with the font to and then the presentation layout, there are a bunch that you can use, whether to use any of these type of tools or whatever you want to use. All right, so there are so many tools that we can use to make our presentations also look quite interesting. So this is that on the presentation, and I know most of you can present on using Microsoft PowerPoint and other tools. No need for me to answer that much. The same way as we do on Microsoft Word for making Google Docs available to other collaborators to work on, you can equally connect your slides also on the Google Cloud slide. Okay, so I just want to show you how you are also going to work and then with some of these things as well. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So this is Google form. You can just type, let me start from scratch. If you are just new, just go to google.com. And then you can just type Google Doc or whatever. With Google Docs, it has got most of these documents ready for you to use. Okay, so you can just click on the Google Docs, the free online document for personal use or stuff like that. So here, you see here, personal or business. You can use the personal version. So you go to Google Docs. All right. I have been using this tool for quite a number of times. But if you want to use the slides, so you can see here the docs, the sheets, slides, the forms. Okay. Like last week, we walked you through how to use the Google Docs as a collaborative tool and also to use for asynchronous engagement with your students or even with your peers as well when you are making a presentation. The same way, you can use the same format to prepare Excel sheets and also make insertions and all this stuff. Or you can use the slides. That is what I'm going to show you now. So we can equally use this one. And once you push it here, the content here are stored on a cloud, and anywhere you find yourself, anytime, you can just connect and then you can make meaningful use of some of these tools here. All right. So you can equally make a blank presentation. You just click on this, start a new presentation. So it opens the normal interface just like Microsoft PowerPoint that we all know from the MS Word. So this is a typical interface, and then you can do everything here and then save your slide. There are so many things you can use, which some of them are quite interesting, and I don't want to share for now. All right, so if I want to use, say, this slide or looks so fancy. All right, so some of these are nice tools you can use. Okay, you can use any of these inbuilt slide. Okay, so just like I showed you in the Microsoft PowerPoint, you can use the same thing here. Enter your title here, and maybe enter the subthemes here. Okay. You can move on and get your new slide. Okay, you enter captions here, you put in your text here. just like we did inserted images and other things here, like videos. If you want to insert, you can equally insert similar things here. If you want to insert charts, if you want to insert tables, just pick up a here. Then you can just drag this thing somewhere. You can put it up here. All right. So anywhere you want to put some of these things, you can always insert it and then play around with it. There are a bunch of them that you can always use. You can equally delete some of these things by highlighting it, then you delete. And you can add anything of your choice. To add a text, you just pick up the text box, you put it here, then you can add your text. You can bold it, just highlight it, you can bold it, you can italize it, you can change the font type or whatever. So you can use this. And for example, if you want to typically engage with your collaborators, for example, for somebody to also work on the slide that you are going to present, you can equally share this with somebody online. So to do this, you need to click on the share button. Okay. So before we share, we need to save this presentation. Maybe I would say my AAU presentation. All right, so I just click on save. Now, here, when you want to share this, you can add a collaborator. So you can just share this. You can just add anybody you want to just engage. For example, if I want to share it with my professor, I can add his name here. What role do I want him to play on this system when I share it? For example, I want him to be an editor, commenter, or a viewer. Of course, I want to work together with him, so I'll choose him as the editor. When you choose the viewer, you can only see. But this also applies to any Google Doc file that you share when you want to get collaborators to work on it. So I'll choose the editor. Now I can prepare a short message, say maybe dear Prof, maybe please find attachment and work on or something like that. Then I just shoot this. So when I click on send, it will go. So you notice that an email will be sent to Prof and he can click on this link and he will be able to add anything on this slide. And we can all work together collaboratively. Now, you notice here that the bottom is say shared with other people. All right. And you can share, by default, it's locked. You can only see it. All right. Good. And you can show it as the presentation mode. So you can just prepare this and this will show. So anywhere you find yourself and you want to present this, you can just show this and then the slide will come, the slide will come. And you can just press escape to escape it, just like we do on your desktop. So these are basic tools that we can use to make presentation well. The last tool, if the time will permit me to walk them through how we can use Spark to also make wonderful presentations.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
All right. By animating some of the slides and contents that we use. But I want to hear from my participants if they are following. Please, if you have been able to catch up with me, can you just type here Zoom AAU? Just type it for me to see if you are following. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. Good. Yes, I'm getting quite a number. Good. Thank you so much. Good. All right. Perfect. I can see quite a number of feedback from you. And I know most of you can do this. Okay. Now, sometimes you go to certain websites and other lecture halls and you notice the professor or the lecturer prepared a very nice short video presentation highlighting virtually all the things that you are supposed to know in the classroom. Sometimes you ask yourself, how does some of these things work? All right. So I want you to gain an account first. You just type spark.adobe.com, or you can just Google Adobe Spark, and then you are good to go. All right. Maybe just to whet your interest, I will just play some short video here for you to see how to Spark and how Adobe Spark works. All right.
All of us are juggling multiple roles. Just finding the time to create compelling images that get the word out quickly is tough.
You want to be able to have a far reach, and you want to have people know about you, but you don't really have thousands of dollars to spend.
My students this year are amazing. I am always looking for new ways for them to be able to demonstrate their knowledge. Adobe Spark has allowed us to make our stories come to life.
The first My Use page, I was able to figure out how many amazing things I could use it for.
So he's preparing the Spark video. We are going to own some of these things in a couple of few minutes. This is just to whet your interest as to how Spark works. So the first thing that we need to do is to just click on the sign in button. All right. So you can use your Google account to sign in if you don't have an account. All right. So I have got a Google account already. And as an institution too, you can get the Spark professional account. Okay, but some of us can get the free version and then we can use it to Spark. All right, so you can go to, I will continue with my Google account. Okay, but if you also have Adobe ID, you can just set up. Okay, all right. All right, so just need to sign up and continue. All right. So please try and own an account on Spark. All right. Good. Good. Please, I want you to use just 2 minutes to set up your Spark account and then you are good to go. I have been using Spark to do so many things. I've been using it to do short video presentations and then upload it on my student LMS platform or present it anywhere. So instead of making me talk for so long, the video can just explain so many. You can use it to do so many things. It's a powerful presentation tool that we can use to even explain content to our students. All right. All right. So I believe most of you have got an account already. So we are just good to go. How do we start up with it? So you can use your Gmail account to sign up and then own an account. All right. All right. So let's move back. Okay. Well, there are so many options here. If you want to use a flyer or just want to use, let me hit the home page so you don't get confused. All right. Okay. Well, if you are new on Spark, there are inbuilt approach that we can use. For example, by default, to tell your story with Spark if you want to make a presentation or whatever. You want to brand anything. There are default templates that you can use here. If you want to use, slideshow or presentation or whatever. Or you want to start from a beautiful template, or you don't have any Spark. You are very new on Spark, and there are inbuilt templates you can borrow from if you don't anything yet. Okay, so I would love to make my own Spark for the first time, so I'll press on this. I just want to make a short video presentation. Okay. So I'll click on the Spark, and then the page, within a matter of few minutes, the page. So it will tell every great story start from somewhere. Tell us about your idea or title. You can always change it. Maybe you just want to make name it. Say my maybe I just name it my age. All right, sorry. My presentation was back. Move on to the next. Do you want to start from scratch, or you can pick some existing templates that you want to use? Okay. Well, I want to show you, so let's start from scratch. All right. All right. Within some few minutes, it should load. You know, this constitutes some, video content. So, all right. So there are tutorials that can guide you. Welcome if you want it, whatever. If you don't need it, you can just close it. All right. All right. So this is my Spark page, fresh, and we will need to populate our slide here with content and then share it. All right. So for example, the very first page, there are options here. You can split your screen or make full screen, depending on the presentation you want to arrange and make. All right. So here you can insert a photo or text or whatever, or video. So this is my very first portion. I just want to add my text. So maybe the caption that I want to present, maybe I'm making a short video on maybe introduction to maybe computing. All right. Okay. I will show you how to record behind the text and also share for your students. Connect my part. All right. Okay, so you just connect your title, which is ready. Then you can move on. Just a few minutes. All right. All right. So this is introduction to computing. For example, I want to tell a little story about the caption or the topic that I want to make. I can make a short recording, about 2 minutes, on this particular page alone on my presentation. All right, so assuming if I want to make a presentation with some level of, sound or recording behind a text, I can just present something here and then share for my students. All right, so I can just press and hold this button. All right, good afternoon, class. You are all welcome to Introduction to Computing class. In this tutorial, I am going to present to you basic introductory component of computing, hardware, software. Stay glued as we move on to the next slide. Thank you. All right, colleagues, I just made a short recording behind this first slide. All right, so this is what I just shared. All right. Good afternoon, class. You are all welcome to Introduction to Computing. In this tutorial, I am going to present to you basic introductory component of
hardware, software. Still good as you move from next. Thank you.
All right, good. So you see, we are done with the very first slide. If you think this recording you did is not good, you can just record again and put it behind it. Later, you put it together, it will form as a video. You don't need a video graphic editor. You don't need anybody to edit your video for you. If you think the slide, whatever words you said behind the slide is not something interesting to you, you can ignore it, record again, so you are okay with it. If you're okay, you can move on to the next slide here. Now, you press this plus button to get to the next slide. So this is slide 1 and this is slide 2. Now, I want to divide this slide into 2 captions, okay? Okay, so for here, I just want to type here maybe something like types of software, or maybe I just want to plain type of software. And if I want to insert an image here, I can just pick up any image here. You can get some from the cloud. I don't have anything on my screen. Maybe find free photos. In any case, you can equally download any. You can download any, picture that you want to insert. I don't want some of these things. All right. You can connect with your Google Photos and then pick up any picture. I just wanted to show you some pictures if you so wish. Then, if you have anything to share or any video to also share, you can embed it here. All right. So if I want to, I can just go online and get some picture on software, and then I will insert it here. All right. Okay. Or you don't want anything of such, you can just press on this button here, and then insert anything that I wish I have got a picture about computers. You can just go online and then maybe download any picture and on a computer for time or not permitted. Then you can insert it here. Then you are just good. Let me see if I can get some free photos. So I'm not getting anything. Let me connect on my cloud. You're going to throw me to my Google. I don't want it that way. All right. But you can download any picture on the net and then just insert if you so wish. Now, so sorry, it's a video streaming tool, so for the presentation, so it takes some few minutes to load, and then we are just good to go. All right, so this was where I was, and that was my slide 2. All right, so we can put our content here if we so wish. We can just switch in between. For example, if you want the types of software to be here and then the pictures of the software to be here, you can equally do it in that order. And then you'll be able to insert whatever you want to share there. Or if you don't want it that way and you want all to be on there, using the full screen slide to, yeah, just good to go share anything that you want to. Anytime you want to split, you have to add a text and an image or a video. so you wish. So here, assuming I just want to add the types of softwares, and I want to highlight, let's say, the application software, and let's say system software. You can just highlight, you can just end it here. You can limit the font here, so, or you can bold it, depending on how you want it to look like. Okay, something small. So now if I want to make a short recording on the type of software, I will just press the record button and record my short audio on the types of software I want to share. So you have to press and hold it. All right. Now, the types of software are the application software and the system software. So you can add your voice to what application software is and what system software is. Thank you as we move on to the next slide. All right. So you can start from here and then play whatever you have been doing from scratch.
All right. Good afternoon, class. You are all welcome to Introduction to Computing. In this tutorial, I am going to present to you basic introductory to computing, hardware, software. Stay with as you move on to the next section. Thank you.
Oh, let me play from scratch. All right.
All right. Good afternoon, class. You are all welcome to Introduction to Computing. In this tutorial, I am going to present to you basic introductory to computing, hardware, software. Stay with as we move on to the next section. Thank you. You want to press it. All right. Now, the types of software are the application software and system software. So you can add your voice to what application software is. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Good. So this is very simple, short videos, like 10, 15 minutes, short videos. Presentation. So the same slide you share, you can spark it with your voice to throw more light on salient point of your presentation you want to share for your students. All right. So once you are done, you can just download this and share for your student, or you can just click on share. All right. You notice that whilst I was playing my short video, there was some nice sound behind it. You know, those of you who are interested in music, you have a very nice sound by choosing the type of sound that you want to, share. By default is a sweet Araba, sound. You can just choose whichever one as a background sound to your presentation. Okay. So you can use series of these signs, for example, the talking sound. Okay. Whichever sound that you want to use, you can also use it. When you are done, you can just share this video. You can publish it. All right, so that's the video, that's the author. Okay, you can just push it in a category, no need to even worry. You can just create a link. The link will be created on Spark, okay? But if you want it on your desktop, you can just download it on your desktop and maybe share it on your YouTube, and you link it up on your LMS page. So you can always make your Spark ready for your students. And anytime they find themselves anywhere, they can watch the video presentation before they even move on to the next presentation I'm going to teach. So this is also a brief tool that we can use for online, engagement with our students and also making online presentations. So apart from using the slides and other tools that Prof have introduced to you, you can just share it. Okay, so we can share it on our Facebook. We can share it if we are using Google Classroom or by email or whatever. Or I can just copy the link, and then maybe if I want to send it to email my class, I can just share it, okay, or I can just copy the link. Like those of you who are here, I can just share our Spark with you by just sharing the link with you. And so if I'm teaching using Zoom online, I can just share this link. I just share it to you, and you can play it, and you can watch it anywhere you find yourself. Thank you, and I will pause here to entertain some few questions if you have any question to ask.
Okay, thanks a lot for the demonstration. At least, you know, you've been exposed to about 3 tools. You know, we all use PowerPoint, you know, so we know how to use it. And then Google Slide is like the cousin of PowerPoint. You know, it's very, very similar, you know, interface and all that. This also allows you, it's also cloud-based. So, you know, with that, you don't have to worry. Anywhere in the world, you can pull up your presentation and present. And then, you know, Adobe Spark will also allow you to do most of the things, you know, that the other tools, adding audio, adding video, adding background music, you know, all these are presentation enhancements, you know, and it makes you look like a pro, you know. So on this note, I know you have questions, so we ask Irene and Kwesi to take over to moderate the Q&A session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Thank you, Emmanuel, for this insightful presentation. And I was keenly following, especially the Adobe Spark. I can't wait to make my short videos to just worry my colleagues and not even send to students or anything. And I'm sure our dear participants have also enjoyed the presentation and are taking a lot more to their institutions and to their students. And so without wasting much time, we'll go on to the question and answering session, and how we do it every day. Would advise that you raise your hands by pressing the button, and when we see that, we would unmute you. Can you kindly press it on the button, not raising your hands physically, so that we can unmute you, because we can't go back to the other side of the panelists to see them. And so kindly quickly press the button to raise your hands up, and then we can unmute you to ask your questions. Thank you very much, Professor Darkwa. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. It has been a great presentation. And so quickly, I'm going through the participant list to see those who have raised their hands. I'm yet to see them. I'm yet to see those who have raised their hands. But I would also, okay. Okay. So I have Rexford. Rexford, if you can hear me, you can make your submission or your question, please. Okay. Rexford, if you can hear me, you can make your submission. Or if not, we move to the next person. Okay. So we don't have a lot of them raising their hands today. Yeah, I'm not, okay, I'm now seeing Samson. Okay, so Samson, you can make your presentation, please. Samson Sunday Afolabi, you can make your presentation.
Thank you, the coordinator, Prof, and Mr. Freeman. And the presentation of tools, the software tools, then Padlet was not mentioned. Is it also part of it? That's my question.
Padlet.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Honestly, Padlet is an online collaborative tool, okay, for collaborative engagement and also for asynchronous and synchronous engagement with your students. Okay.
Okay.
So we will not say Padlet is a presentation tool. It will best fit for online collaborative and synchronous engagement and asynchronous engagement, not a presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have Etienne, Ubon Etienne. I have unmuted you. You can ask your question, please.
All right. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Freeman, and all the coordinators. I so much follow the Adobe Spark, so I was able to make a little video on my phone. But it looked like it was timing me. So I want to know, is there a particular duration of video that one can make with the Adobe Spark?
All right. Yes, you can make any video of your choice. But with the Spark, you are not supposed to make long videos, maximum of about 15 minutes. Okay, maximum of say 15 minutes. Because the longer your videos, the more boring your presentations are sometimes. So you keep it simple, and neat. So each slide, you can only make a maximum of 2 minutes recordings behind each slide on your Spark. Okay, so if you have a topic you want to talk about, you just put it there, talk briefly about 1 minute, 2 minutes, you move on. So if you have, say, 15 to 20 slides, short videos, you can make a nice presentation and highlight the salient point.
That's why they are saying you have to see how.
Oh, thank you. That's interesting.
Okay, so let me see one. If you have, if your mic is on, can you please make your presentation?
Yes, thank you very much, Prof. and Freeman. There has been a spectacular presentation and to help us great. I just want to find out after the Spark Adobe, after you download onto your PC, can you share that? I'm asking that because of rural area where there are no connectivities with the internet. Can students pick it up without the internet, or they necessarily still have to have the internet before they can pick it up?
All right. Okay. Of course, you need internet to share your Spark presentation. So once you share it on the student page, we are not in normal times. So where we are heading towards is the emergency remote learning. So irrespective of where you find yourself, there should be learning. And the only thing that can bind us together to establish that learning is taking place is only through the internet. So once you're able to connect with them on WhatsApp or any platform that you keep engaging them, or even you have an LMS, maybe we'll touch on Prof. Darkwa will walk us through. You can share this video on the LMS, and then you will be able to establish that, well, the students are downloading and accessing it. If they download on their phone forever, it's just like a video presentation. So they can watch your videos even with or without internet once they've downloaded on their computers or on maybe on their phones or whatever. So you can access it anywhere. Once you are connected to internet to download it for the very first time, then we are good to go.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Rexford, you have the floor. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. Rexford, if you can hear me, you can speak now. Okay, so Alexander Timothy, your hand is up. I have unmuted you. You can ask your question now. Alexander Timothy.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, please, you are audible. Kindly ask your question.
I find the presentations very interesting, very practical, and behind the scene, I've been trying my hands on some of the things that I mentioned, and I find them very useful. I know that they are useful for an individual teacher to interact with his class or his students. Where I am bothered is how do we, for accountability, how can an institution monitor, yes, and evaluate that interaction between the teacher and the student? How is there a tool? Is there a way could be networking such a way that the institution as a whole, the university, can know that teacher A is actually having interaction online with students B?
Yes, of course. You need internet to do this recording for the first time. I'm here to get a desktop version for it, just like other presentation tools that we will be touching on. Once you have the presentation, the Spark account ready, just have one day with good internet, do all your recordings and share. Okay, so you can have about 30 minutes at the studio, or even in your house, just like we are just seated. You can prepare your Spark videos, get some nice background, highlight key points you want to present to your class, and they are good to go. I took a feedback from students when I shared Spark in my class, and it will marvel you to know the level of enthusiasm and engagement they shared with their peers and myself. They were so happy. It also helped them to understand some of the topics that they find it very difficult to even understand. And it will always guide them before they even move on to the next class. There are an aspect of learning we call the flipped learning approach. So here you can prepare the videos and everything, and you can flip your class, share it with your class, let them watch, let them be okay with it. Once you are okay with the presentation, they are okay with the presentation, you can follow up with a face-to-face synchronous engagement with them and with an online synchronous or asynchronous forum discussion. And the learning process is complete. Okay, so keep on, get one good internet and do your recording and share the videos they will download. Thank you.
Just to add to that, that's why there's always feedback and assessment, and also your class policy. You know, your policy is that this is what you expect from your students, and then you get feedback from them, or you give them feedback on whatever assignment that you give to them. So it's feedback, assessment, and at least that will tell you that you are connecting with your students, they're understanding what you are sharing with them, they're understanding what you are teaching with them in line with your class policy. You know, so they all work together. And sometimes, you know, there are always institutional policies, you know, as well. So take all those things into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, Tope, no, okay. So Titilayo, I've unmuted you. You can ask your question now. Titilayo.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Good
you have the
afternoon.
floor. Kindly ask your question.
Yes, thank you for the wonderful presentations, Prof. and Mr. Freeman. It's quite interesting. Please, I would like to know, for some of us that means the earlier modules, is there going to be a rerun for us so that we can as well get a certificate?
Okay, so the answer to that is that all the videos, all the PowerPoint presentations have been sent to all registered participants. And so if you have registered, you would find a video and your email address is correct. That is the main thing. You would get all the presentations. We've sent everything, the links to all of it. And so you can go back and watch the videos. You can go through the presentations, and you can also get the certificate after. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So Tope, you can ask your question now.
Okay,
Titilayo.
okay. Thank you for your wonderful presentations, Prof. and Mr. Emmanuel.
Right.
When you mentioned the learning tools, we didn't talk about Prezi. I was wondering if Prezi was one of them, Prezi presentation tool.
Okay, I think Prezi was the first tool.
First thing, yeah. Yeah, it
Okay.
was the
And
first.
I even showed a demonstration
Yeah.
because I
Oh.
use Prezi a lot. So that was the very first one. Maybe you
Okay.
missed that. So the
Okay.
very first tool. It's a great
Okay.
presentation too. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right, Tope, you can talk now.
So thank you very much. Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I just want to know if I download the Spark tool and I have it as an app, is it important for my students also to have the app before they can access my works?
Please know, once you download it and share it with your student, they watch it as a normal video when you are using the Spark. Okay, so they don't need a package, they don't need signing anything. It's just like sharing slide or any file to them. They will just click on download and watch.
Okay.
You don't need to sign up to get access to the system.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, Victoria, can you unmute and ask your question, please? Victoria Awolola. Yeah.
Good
afternoon.
Yes.
In case some of us that did not get to register, so well, we can get the links from all the other people that have registered. Are we, those that are not registered, would they be able to get certificate too, even in case we participate all throughout? Or what do you think?
If you don't register, I don't have any means of getting you or contacting you. So it's very critical you register. Otherwise, we will still come
They said
and meet you
registration
every
had
day.
closed by the time I wanted to register.
Okay, so have you been getting the mails we send you? We've been sending?
No.
Okay, so can you quickly write your email address in the chat box for me?
Okay, I'll do that now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so Chris, Toby, you have the floor.
All right, thank you very much, Irene. And I appreciate Professor Darkwa and Emmanuel for the presentation and demonstration. I just want to call attention of ourselves that in as much as we are trying to, get us in sync with the latest tools for online presentation, I think it will also be nice to let us know that some of these applications like the Zoom, Prezi, PowerPoint, they also run daily live. Some of them run daily or even weekly live training just to help us keep in track with some of the latest innovations. Because one day training and then we don't go back to practice it, we might easily lose track of some of the techniques that are used in some of these applications.
Okay, thanks a lot for the information. That is true. Yeah, most of them, especially the commercial ones. I know Vishme, for example, they do weekly training because, you need to understand how to use the tool before you can invest in it. So it's very good information to share. Visit their websites. Because of time, even though we have links to all the websites, but all the tools that were presented, and there are a bunch of other tools, presentation tools. Most of them, if you visit their website, you will look at their training calendar, and most of them is free. Short webinars, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And then at least it will expose you to how the tools work. And if your institution is interested, then they will invite you to make an investment. So that is how it works. So thanks a lot for the information. Most of them are free training. You need to visit our website. Thank you.
Okay, so Samson Sunday, you have the floor. You can ask your question, please. Samson Sunday. Okay, you should unmute yourself, please.
Thank you once again, Ma. There was a time I made my lecture presentations in a series in iSpring, and I sent to my students. But invariably, it got to them. They were not able to open it and listen to it. I tried to convert it to various versions, reducing the size of the recording. Yet they were not able to listen to these lectures. I use iSpring because it's so simple, very straightforward, not difficult at all to use, to record, and so on. And they will see your video if you want it. They will also see your slide as you are traversing the navigating on your computer. They see everything. So nice, so easy, and but then they could not open it. It got to them, they could not open it, they could not respond, and I had to rest my case. So what was really the problem? I don't really know. Thank you.
All right, thanks for asking. Generally speaking, if you did all the recording and you share with your students, generally they should be able to have access to it. Sometimes there may be technical limitations. One could be the type of browser that they are using. That is one option. Even today's presentation, I was playing with some tools. I realized that some of them, I was using Explorer. It wasn't coming out very well. So I shifted to Chrome, and it was able to do it for me. So that could be one explanation. The second is also the version. If you use iSpring 9 and they have access to maybe iSpring 7 or whatever, it could be a limitation. But generally, since you have done it and you are sharing with them, they should, but that is also another possible. Sometimes, people use a higher version of PowerPoint and they send it and people are not able to open it. So sometimes you may have to lower the kind of version you are using to enable access to it. That could be another possible, explanation. But generally speaking, as you said, iSpring, you can do a lot of fancy stuff with it. It's only that it's a commercial tool. There's a free trial days, and after that, unless you have institutional subscription, then it's available for your institution, and then the students will have access to it. And you can use it for quizzes, you can use it for videos, you can use it for audio, and there are a bunch of images that you can customize, and things like that. So these are some of the possible explanations why they couldn't, the type of browser, the version that they are using. But generally speaking, they should be able to, to review it. Take a second look, maybe sometimes it's just a small issue somewhere, and I'm sure you'll be able to resolve the issue. Thank you.
Okay, so the last two people I have Lami. So Lami, if you can hear me, can you go on with your submission or your question? Lami.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. I must confess that I have enjoyed this presentation tremendously because and whenever
Lami, unfortunately, you have a lot of feedback. Can you quickly resolve it?
Yeah, you need to mute one of your mic. You are using two devices, I suspect.
Okay.
So mute one and then use the other one. Good.
All right. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, you reduce the volume set on either your phone or the computer, whichever. You're using two devices.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Sorry about this. Okay. Is it better now?
Yes, you take it like that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. I was saying that I have enjoyed this.
Hello, Lami, are you still on?
Okay, so Lami is gone off. Prof, I think that will be it for our question and answer session. But Kwesi is on. Kwesi is behind today. He didn't speak. So Kwesi, please, if you have any message for our participants before Prof hands over. Okay. Kwesi might be off from his computer. So Prof,
No,
kindly.
look, I'm here.
Okay, that's fine. So
All right.
Kwesi, we want to hear from you.
Thank you very much. I think the only announcement has to do with the certificate, which obviously you have you've done that from the beginning. All right. So that is all. We have shared a link to the certificate where they are supposed to write their names and then also make the online payment. Aside that, I think everything is fine. Thank you, Irene.
All right, Kwesi, thank you very much. So Prof, kindly take us away.
Okay, all right, thanks a lot. And let me thank all of you for participating in today's session as well. As I said, this is a series of webinars we have segmented, the topic. It's a lot to learn, if you are making a transition from face-to-face to online teaching and learning. Each webinar, we want you to take home something, at least one tool, It takes a while to really get all of this and all that. It's not really going to end with the last webinar. Hopefully, you will continue. We are creating our own platform so that we can actually continue after the last webinar, because we realize that from the feedback that we are getting, most people find this webinar to be very, very useful. That is why we want to find a way to sustain it. We like your feedback. We cannot cover all the tools. We cannot cover all the topics in online teaching and learning, at least, but we do our best to cover most of them to get you going. Some of you, we know that when it comes to the infrastructure, some institutions are advanced. When it comes to the technical skills, some of you are way advanced, whilst others are at the beginning stage of the process. So as much as possible, that is why we start from the basics. So, we don't want to preach to the converted, but sometimes we can't help it, so that's why we start with what is, to enable you to understand the concepts before we go into the demonstration sessions. So on this note, let me thank you once again. Next week, same time, there is, I think we're focusing on learning management systems. It's a very familiar topic, but again, we take you through the basics and then we do a demonstration as well. So on this note, thank you very much for joining us today. I yield back to Irene.
All right, Prof, thank you very much. Emmanuel Freeman, thank you very much. To our participant, thank you very much. We'll be back same time, 12 p.m. GMT, 1 p.m. Nigeria time, 2 p.m. East Africa, 3 p.m. South Africa time. Please make sure that you look at the times very well so that you don't miss the next session. We are available to you. If you have any queries, send quickly an email to id@aau.org or kasam@aau.org, and then we'll answer all your queries. And so have a lovely day and enjoy the rest of your days. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.